Hey guys, just a guy here with a little tutorial about tree farms and saplings. In a little test world here, and let's get started. So, when you first start out, you always need wood, right? It's one of the major building blocks, and you could just hack down trees that are around, and then you could also just make a little simple farm, so to speak, by I'm getting shoved into the ground. That's a new weird mechanic. Just get a patch of land and put some trees down, and then when you just chop it down. I mean, that works. The downside to this is, of course, you had to sit around and wait for all the saplings to fall. Or you got to smash all the leaves yourself, right? And obviously, sometimes these trees grow really weird, right? I mean, especially oak trees. Because if you don't get every single log, the saplings won't fall, the leaves won't break. And of course, you can just do this if you get frustrated with it. Obviously, this is set to like 1,000 or 2,000 random ticks, so everything goes faster. But yeah, I mean, normally you don't get much when you burn it, but if it burns a log before it. But my plans are these. These are really simple, basic farms that you could build like day one, right? You got the sort of elevated platforms that go 8 long and then drop down another 8, and you can make it as wide as you want. And then you just put something above it so they don't grow higher than you want, and the saplings fall into the world. The bigger your dirt platform, the more wood you have in one area, and the easier it is to harvest. The longer it is usually better than wider because they interfere with growing with each other, and you get less leaves. You could have little squares. You could have these long platforms, and this one is sideways and with the trough in the middle. I would say the difference is this one's a little easier to expand horizontally, infinitely. But lengthwise, you'd have to have a constant shelf of platforms every 8 blocks. This one, infinitely long, but it's a little harder to expand it widthwise. You'd basically be doing the opposite. And then this little part in the middle gets a little complicated to make it funnel to one area. Then you have the square design, which is basically the simplest. You just dig down, basically a 9x9 or whatever in the middle. And you have water streams going from the edge. If you do squares, you got to make sure you do your corners like this with one block up and at least half slabs, if not full blocks below, so that the two sources in the corners don't make infinite water sources, which is extremely frustrating. Let me tell you that if you mess up, this whole entire thing turns into a water source, and it's a pain to undo. That's why I kind of like these methods. They almost never do that because you're just putting water on the back wall. And if you don't want delay and lag, you can put it on each layer so that it doesn't have to do it all flowing water from one source. But let's go look at saplings real quick and how they grow. So I got a little display set up, and let me tell you, I had to set the weather off because I kept getting lightning strikes and set things on fire. Let's start with the oak trees. Well, yeah. So oak trees. It will grow. Oh, it's a jungle. Okay, my bad. Okay, oak trees. And you can tell I've done this like 3 times and I'm still messing up. Oak, you have to have at least 5 blocks above where the sapling is placed, which is this thing right here, right ground level. 3, 4, 5, and then 5 gaps of air, and then you can put something up there and it'll grow. This is the absolute smallest the oak tree can grow. Anything less, it won't grow at all. It can go higher. This is basically what a 6-block tree looks like. It's just a little taller, but it's basically the same. Once you start getting up to 7 blocks to 9 blocks, you start getting these weird extensions out of the side, which give you more leaves and more wood, but it makes it a little harder to harvest it because it's higher than you can reach without like an jumping or a ladder. And also, if you miss a little thing on the side like this piece, the leaves won't fall. So, okay, and this is dark oak, single saplings, won't grow, like, at all, no matter what. And then, if you put them in a 2x2 cube, they have to have at least 7 blocks up before you put any sort of structures above them. And they do generally need 3 blocks out, I believe. Yeah. So, from here, it has to have 3 blocks space. Sometimes there's an excuse. Dark oak is one of those weird ones. A lot of the 2x2 ones are that If there are blocks in the way, sometimes it'll just replace those blocks with wood, like grow into it. Even obsidian and or bedrock. At least it used to be bedrock. I don't know if it still does, but I know it has done obsidian because it messed up a farm I have over there. And this one is just 8 blocks. It's a little taller, not too bad. The 7 block one is nice and chunky, so it's easy to deal with, but you don't necessarily get enough saplings back to regrow it most of the time. And then obviously it goes, this is the highest I ever found it to grow, is 10 blocks. I did a lot of regrowings so, to try, but you know. Acacia is a little weird. It's only 6 blocks high, but it does need the 3 blocks out, and it grows diagonally in weird ways. You can have it 2 blocks out, at least in some directions, and it'll just cut off the leaves, so it still grows, I guess. But it's supposed to get 3 if you want all the leaves. It can grow higher. It's a little higher, doesn't have to grow out so far, but it doesn't get any more wood, really. Birch is 6, and it can have as low as 2 blocks out. This is another thing I noticed a lot of them. Didn't say it over here, but it won't grow if this block is 1 down lower. Some of them seem to need an air block between where the leaves grow, and some grow right up to where the blocks are, so it's weird. Oh, yeah. I swear I had more birch, but I guess not. Birch will grow a little taller if you have no restrictions, but I guess I didn't do one. This is single spruce, right? It'll grow 7 blocks. It needs 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, and then on the 8th block you can put it. But it won't grow if there's anything around it, really. I mean, another spruce even. You know, a lot of trees will grow next to each other and overlap each other, but as you can see, all these spruce saplings won't grow with being next to another spruce. If this one grew first, it would grow, and then all the other ones wouldn't grow, but they won't share. And I just kept this one because it was a funny mess up. 2x2 spruce, you know, makes a big tree. But this one grew, like, the leaves to the bottom, and it gave way more leaves than normal. Like, this isn't 2 different trees. This is one tree with all the leaves down instead of up. It's weird. But it can go up to 24 blocks high. Spruce is one of the best woods for tree farms if you're doing it manually, because you can just have a platform from up here and dig straight down in a little 4x4 thing and get tons of wood with no effort. And then we got jungle wood. 7 blocks is the minimum for this as well. As you can see, it does grow 1 below that, but it won't actually grow up. You put it down. And then what was it? 13 blocks is the highest a single sapling will grow that I noticed. The wikis are kind of vague. They usually just give you the maximum or the minimum. They don't tell you everything in between necessarily. Jungle singles will grow next to each other, unlike the spruce. So these are 4 jungle singles that all grew next to each other. When you plant them, though, if there's one there, it'll grow. Oops, that's a spruce. I need a jungle sapling. Oh, I don't got one. But when you plant it, though, if this was a jungle sapling, it'll grow. Well, let me just get one. It'll grow with my random tick speed being as high as it is. Oh, I used the spruce again. There we go. It'll grow. And then any others I put down will grow. Right? Eventually. Due to restrictions and light and stuff, sometimes they take a little while. But they will grow. Because these block light. Because trees need 7, I believe, light level on the block above it to grow. So you can bone meal them in the dark, but they won't grow in the dark generally. Or if they do, it's so slow, even at 2,000 ticks, it doesn't seem to work. But if you push all 4 at once, it'll only check for a 2x2 tree. It won't check for a 1x1 anymore. So if there's not enough room for a 2x2 tree to grow and you put 4 by this, nothing will happen. So that's a thing to worry about. If you're planting in a big, like, 2x2 column, it won't recover. I guess that's just too many dark over there with the trying to build it. But they will grow, usually eventually. In terms of the minimum a 2x2 tree will grow is 13 blocks. I did a redstone every 5. I thought. Whatever. I messed that up somehow. I did 5 everyone after that. But yeah, 13 and it has an air gap actually. So if you just put one right here, a block right there, it wouldn't grow for whatever reason. In terms of maximum height that I noticed was 33 for a jungle wood. Way up here. And again, you have to put the block here. When I put it down closer to here, it didn't seem to grow at all. So the tree grew 33. I think it's 36 is where I put the block. Yeah. So basically, jungle wood's awesome, but it takes a lot of space. So let's get to these farms over it. So basically, you want to put some stuff down with the roof as high as you want it, right? Let's just do oak. Sometimes the high world tick is dangerous. So it grows eventually over time. Obviously planting wouldn't be so hard in survival or whatever because they wouldn't grow that fast. As you can see though, it stops it at like the medium height tree. I think this is 6 blocks. I find it to be the best for oaks because it gives you the slightly taller trees, but they're still manageable. You can still reach it from the ground. And then you would just get on these platforms through scaffolding or trapdoors or something. Drop down from the top is a good way too. And you just mine these out, and then as all these oak blocks go away, the leaves will just fall. And it could take like 5-6 minutes for all the leaves to decay. And you don't want to stand around for that. You don't want to bust them all. But you need the saplings back, right? I mean, this isn't 100%. Usually you get most of them back, depending on the tree. And they'll just fall down to the water, go into the trough, and then turn up in this chest. So the next time you come back, you'll have saplings. Now, obviously, I didn't get 44 from that. I must have had some in there. You usually get about, I don't know, 2/3 to maybe a little over, depending on the tree. You might not get as many as you put down, but if that ever happens, the next time you plant, just either use a single wide one and then space it out a little bit, because that means you get more leaves. And thus, you'll get returns. So, you have to balance your saplings. You should never ever run out, because you always get some back. And then however many or few you get, you can return. And then, like, this is the easiest thing I like to do. These type of things are great. Because the one wide is enough for it to leaves to fall down and for some stuff to happen. But once you break these, when you're breaking them, like you're up here, you drop down from the top or something, you can just keep mining straight through this. You can just hop over this little one wide gap. You know. Oops, well, if you have jumping skills. And just go, you know, layer by layer down and get like tons of wood. And then again, the saplings would fall down. I'm gonna burn this. So I just like watching the burns in high tick rate. I think it's funny. This is why you don't want random tick rates so high on your base world. Okay, so these are the automated, so to speak, farms I messed with. In terms of, you know, needing them or whatever, I don't think you do. But, so this one is... Oh, let me get out of here. I messed with this for no real reason. But, where is it? Over here. So this one is set to 6, I believe. Yeah. 2, 4, 6, yeah. Which is the optimum height for a small tree farm. Because that will let you work with acacia, jungle, birch, and oak saplings. These two won't grow spruce and dark oak because you need the 7. But they also need the 2x2. And this one is set to be a fairly small, compact farm. It is 5 wide on the inside, which is enough. I think it's 5. Yeah. Yeah. So it's enough so that you get 2 blocks of space on either side, with the one in the middle being the trees. And then I did have it go this long. I mean, you can make it as long or short as you want. But it's basically, I think 12? Or, well, it's 16 total because it's 2 things of 8. But you put all these in here, obviously. And then you just bust them out. They fall. All that good stuff, right? You don't even need anything else. The walls and all that help a lot, though, because if you don't have walls, you have to make your tree farm wider. I would say 4 to 5 blocks in every direction, because trees and saplings just sort of pop off at weird things. So even if the branches only go out 3 blocks, how far the saplings will fall off can go like 4 or 5 sometimes. They'll fall outside of your little waterways. So you can either make walls that go all the way to the top, or you can, as you can see, when you do this, even with me standing there and the super random tick rate, sometimes it gets stuck on this thing, right? On the dirt. Well, that could be a loss, or you could pick it up, right? But this is where the weird redstone comes in, alright? I have this as sort of an on-off switch, right? I can't remember where it's set to. Okay, that's off. This is just a simple little redstone tower leading into a block with a torch. It extends this piston, which cuts off the redstone signal when I don't want it on. And then when you want it on, it's hooked up to 2 daylight sensors, one set to night and one set to day. One is set to, these two are set to the power of 1, and a repeater to flatten out the signal so it doesn't update this observer every single time the day moves. And then another one is set to, I think, 8 or 9, basically the midpoint of the day. And another thing, so twice per day, well, 4 times per day, this thing comes on. Once when this first comes on, once when this comes on, and then once when this goes off, and once when this goes off. And then the night cycle does exactly the same. When the night cycle hits 1, it goes off, and then when that goes off. Now, I actually have the time set to no daylight cycle right now, because I hate working in the dark in creative worlds. But if I turn this on, it'll expend time by 50. Yeah. So this will kick in. These trapdoors will open briefly. It's a little faster in this sped up time, obviously. But they pulse. They send the water down, which, as you can see, washes all those little saplings off for the most part. Sometimes it takes a couple little cycles. If it's in the dead center of the water stream, it'll get pushed to the side a little bit as the water decays. And then the next time water comes off, it'll push it off. And this is a good thing to turn on, I found, if you don't want to sit around for the leaves to decay. And it prevents losses from being on top of your things. On this particular platform, there's only 1 wide. It's not a lot of loss. But if you had a wider tree farm with 2 blocks or a really long one, that could be a lot. And then obviously you just do this to turn it off so the daylight sensors no longer open and shut the trap doors. And this is just a line of trapdoors with redstone and a water block on it. And it's also a good way to, when you're working the farm, if you want to mine from the top of a particularly tall one, you can just come down through these, if I can fall. There we go. There we go. And it also lets you go down a little slower. So, you know, if you had like a 30 block high thing, it works. Okay, let's turn off this command block. Time set. There we go. So that led to these ones, right? These were automated. Oh, and here's the scaffolding I used to get up to come from the top and harvest. This one was automated just to cover the sapling loss of sitting on top, right? You know, as you're not there. This one was designed to be TNT operated, automatic, right? Because the new TNT mechanics is they don't destroy blocks. Unfortunately, they destroy items, so this farm here does not really work too well. Oops. I didn't want that. There we go. Let's do... not spruce. Jungle, there we go. So this one was designed with quite a bit of space. I think it's 7 or 10. I can't remember if it's 10 or 12. Oops. And it's just platformer water with obsidian blocks 1 higher. Campfires underneath it just to give some light so the trees grow. Unfortunately, the TNT tends to blow up the campfires occasionally. I've not found a good way to get light down here that doesn't get destroyed. Which is funny because my next one I'm going to show you does that for some reason. I think it's just a matter of putting these up too high because it doesn't seem to really destroy things too wide. So these are growing, not great as you can see, even with some of the light sources. These trees block off light. Game mode. Actually, what is it? I can't remember what button it is to switch to spectator automatically. I can get out easily. But as you can see, quite a few of these did not grow. They sometimes will grow eventually, but generally speaking, jungle wood's pretty picky. But I still got a lot of trees up here, right? And this is the top. And this is basically it. It's 8, I think. Yeah, 3, 6, 8. 8 dispensers along the edges that drop down. The tubes have to be about 5 to 6 high from where the leaves are, because they will grow up the tube slightly. Sometimes, you know, they'll grow up there, and it backed up and blew up more than a couple dispensers. So I just rose these up about 5 high, because TNT generally explodes everything within a 4-block radius. Sometimes it goes further, especially fragile blocks like glass or leaves. So I just push this button. There's a bit of a delay just so I can get in space to see what happens. And then in a sequence with delays, the TNT drops. I did that because I noticed that exploding TNT destroyed items. Unfortunately, the items have nowhere to go, right? So as the TNT drops, a lot of the items get destroyed because they can't fall down to the next level. And I was getting like 20 to 50 things of oops, wrong hole. There we go. And I had to put all that stuff there because the leaves kept growing weird, but I can just keep pushing it. Usually about 3 rounds destroys all the trees. 2 with just a few scragglers. And I can just push it again. Start it off the next round. The big delays is 10 redstone repeaters set to maximum 4 ticks. Just so that no TNT is down while the next one's exploding generally, so they don't get thrown around and chaotically blow stuff up or fall in the water. I did find that this obsidian 1 block higher than the dirt means that most of the time the dirt isn't destroyed. As you can see, a few patches are destroyed, but when it was on the same level as the dirt, all the dirt was destroyed. And as you can see, tons of stuff is just left here on top. And then if I go out and show you the chest, there isn't actually that much in there. Because while the TNT doesn't destroy the blocks it's blowing up anymore, it will destroy up any, you know, items that fell to the ground around it. So yeah, 27 wood, that's all I got from that, right? Plus what I picked up, 17 if I actually go in there. This one was a sort of a compromise. It's a shorter distance of 6 instead of 12 or so. And it's just one little platform for now. I mean, it could be bigger. But you only need a TNT on either corner because they do go 4 out and there's an overlap in the middle. But this one will only grow these saplings again. Oak, jungle, birch, and acacia. It won't do the dark oak or spruce sapling much like the other one. Let's do acacia. I found this one to be the best return rate for whatever reason. Like I got this the last time I did almost a full 12 saplings back, and a stack and a half, or stack and 15 or so of wood. But this one works a little better. For whatever reason, these light sea lanterns don't get destroyed. They're 2 blocks down, and I don't know if being underwater helps. But this one's much smaller. It's got 3 wide on either sides, just for leaves and stuff like that. They're very weird. But so this one's a little more complicated. Any redstone experts are probably looking at this and shivering in disgust. But basically, it's the same thing where it fires, right? And then there's a delay, and then the water flushes down to push as many of the blocks off the trees and stuff as it can. Not perfect, but generally gets it away. And then another one falls in the other corner, and more water flushes to get all the blocks off. Now, the flaw is I can't have water here or here generally, because this is where the trees explode, and it generally blows up the steel trap door if I have it there. I mean, I haven't figured it out exactly how to fix that. other than putting this block here, which sort of contains the explosion. So the very corner here and there doesn't get a water block falling down, and I was thinking I might need to expand this one more on either side to help push off the water, the blocks on the very edges here, especially with the acacia trees. But still the same as before, about 3 rounds will get all the tree, 2 will do most of it, as you can see, and it pushes all these away, and then the water's gone before the next TNT explodes most of the time. Sometimes it flows a little weird and it's still there, but it prevents it from pushing the TNT to the water and stuff. And as you can see, there's only 1 block left. Well, okay, a couple. And that's just, I think that was 2 rounds. And the dirt is still mostly there, right? As you can see, the stuff gets stuck in the corners a little bit as the flowing water messes up the streams, but as it resets, it goes into the hoppers. I have 2 down there because it was taking too long for it to pick up the items, and sometimes the TNT would explode while the item was still floating on the water, and that would get destroyed. You could also have your catcher be a little further away. And then this should get rid of everything that's left. Maybe. Sometimes it has trouble reaching that very corner. Acacia's the weird one like that. Yep, there it goes. Everything's gone. So, we're missing... Let's count this. 2, 3, 4 dirt blocks. There should be 4 dirt blocks in our chest. And we don't have to worry too much about loss. Okay, 3. So we lost 1 dirt block, or I picked it up on accident. I'm not sure which. But we got 44 acacia logs and 9 saplings. That was actually a pretty bad run. But it's still better than you usually get with oak. Oak is usually about 40 and 6. You can grow other trees in here, and I just think it's fun. I'm not saying this is the most effective, but it only takes 4 to 6 TNT to get rid of most of this. And the water flushing does mean that the excess is lost. This is the one I would recommend more often. Is either this one with or without the redstone. The redstone's only really there to, you know, get rid of the stuff that sticks on this middle. Well, that usually fixes it. Oh well. Oh, I have it turned off. Okay, yeah. But that just gets stuff in the middle. You can build something like this. Just dig a hole or whatever. The sea lanterns help. I would highly recommend them about this high. 1 block up above your dirt source and stuff just to keep the light. You can also use jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins. Those work. But there's something like this, or this works well, or even just the hole. Basically platforms overflowing water to catch your saplings for you. But yeah, guys, I don't think you need a step-by-step for this. It's basically just water. But I just thought it was a nice thing to put out there because it's way more simple than the massive piston wall and tree pushing farm that takes bone meal and tons of bone meal. These ones you just plant, go away, you know, for Minecraft day or whatever you need to do. Come back when you need the wood, chop it all down, plant some more saplings, and leave and let the decayed leaves fall into the hoppers on their own. And I always found that to be a really good early to mid-game farm. I almost never get to the point where I need the massive piston wall tree farms, honestly. This is more than enough. Any one of these would work. But yeah, guys, this is... Oops. Just a guy signing off. Catch you guys later. Bye.